Yeah, so here we go. But yeah, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for introducing yourselves and kind of bringing in the community together and sharing our common and divergent goals. And I'm so honored to get to walk through this process with you all. This is the first night where we're starting to talk about what we're going to do in a couple of days. And our official first day of the program is going to be Friday. And then we're going to meet Saturday morning here again at 10 to have our second class where we're going to kind of outline the second portion of the program, which is our fast. And then we're going to meet this same day next week at the same time at 6 to outline the final phase of the program. I'm just going to mute Mary Lou here, which is going to be starting next Saturday. So basically, note that it is called a 2-week detox because we're going to be in a process for a full 2 weeks. The lion's share of the fasting is going to actually happen in the first week. And that last 5-ish days, you're going to be gradually reintroducing foods into your diet. So that's what's called the reintroduction phase, which we covered in our last class. Logistics for the class in terms of how we're going to roll through this. I do want to make sure that you all have a way of communicating with me while we do this. And so one of the reasons this is a guided and paid program is because I'm here for you throughout. So I want you to know that sincerely, that I'm truly available to answer questions, to tackle symptoms with you if they're coming up. Obviously, being here in class together is really great, and let's do as much of that as we can, but don't hesitate to connect with me throughout the duration of your program if it's needed. The best ways to do that are by cell phone in the days I'm not in clinic. And I don't write my cell phone in your program guide because that one we print and give to patients too, but I'm going to give it all to you if you want to write it down. It's 509-954-8606. Just make sure if you text me, you just say who you are too, because I probably don't have your name in my phone. It's nice to know. And you can call me too. And I don't keep my phone like with me in my bed when I'm sleeping, but I try to be really good about having it with me kind of the rest of the time when I'm leading this program. If it's Monday through Wednesday of next week, next week's only a 3 clinic day, message me by clinic email or in the patient portal if you have that. During the daytime, I'll probably be quicker to get a hold of that way because I kind of leave my cell phone aside when I'm in clinic. You can also touch base with the staff if you needed to for whatever reason on my clinic days, but that's how to get in touch with me. And I do really just ask with these materials that, you know, be private about them. I think that it's really wonderful what you're learning and you're going to take away a tool that you could use for the rest of your life, but it really is designed to be deployed with the context of these lectures and with the support of a physician, at least initially. So just please keep these kind of your own possession. And outside of that, you guys should have all received an introductory email that kind of like said some prep stuff and how to get ready a little bit. We're going to go really into detail on getting ready for that first phase of the program tonight. And you will probably need a couple of tools for this, a blender and a juicer, unless you're going to go get juices made for you and then you would just need a blender. So is everyone kind of good about that in terms of having access to those kind of tools or a plan of where to go get juice? Yeah.
Give them your formula of what you're supposed to have then, or they already have them?
Yeah, you can do that, or you can like just, kind of use some of their formulas. On Sunday, we'll go over that in a lot of detail. I really don't encourage, and I'll have names of several places. I don't encourage people to pre-buy juices because they lose their vitality and their nutrient value pretty quickly. So you want to have fresh pressed juices. That's all in detail in our Saturday lecture. Cool. Yeah.
Not that I'm not gonna juice, but.
No, totally. It's totally an option. It is totally an option. Um, so how I'd like to start this first class is to really zoom out a little bit, and being kind of a history person, history major in college, I like to kind of, see where we've come from with this kind of stuff. And, the concept of fasting and detoxification has been with us as a species kind of forever, and even as beings forever too. And it doesn't take us long to like look at even the animal world to see, hey, when animals get injured, they stop eating, for days at a time. When people get sick, they lose their appetite and they stop eating. And it's this idea that we rest our digestion, and all of the effort and work that goes into that is a really wise practice that, whether or not we're conscious about it, we're designed to do. Our ancestors didn't live in quite a world of so much plenty either. So fasting was baked into the program. Like, it was just kind of half starving through the winter and sleeping 16 hours a day. Is like, that's how our DNA is designed to work. So we live in this kind of modern world where we're just eating all the time. And so being able to rest our digestion and change that pattern is something our bodies are really accustomed to. There is also a lot of spiritual traditions, and Helika brought this up, that you know um, we believe in the importance of cleaning our bodies to help purify and clean our spirit and mind too. And so every major spiritual tradition in the world incorporates fasting in some way, shape, or form as a component of it. It may not be utter like water fasting, but it's like ways to hold fast from, consuming certain things to kind of deepen our health and connection. So these things have been with us a long time, and yet in our modern society, they're really kind of lost. And so, um, here's where we arrive at this. And I use this tool every day with my patients. I do it personally a couple times a year, and I've grown personally so much from the practice, and my health has been really benefited. So I'm really passionate about it. I bring it here excited to do it with you and learn what you learn, and just continue to heal. So um, when we talk about detoxification, I feel like it's important to like really orient ourselves to detoxification and how I see that fitting into health. Um, Interestingly, this profession that I'm part of, called naturopathic medicine, the very early beginnings of it come out of like the 1800s and 1700s in like Northern Europe, Germany. And it was called the nature cure movement, which is what the term naturopathy eventually evolved from. And the nature cure movement had a single, what they called, unifying theory of disease. And that theory is that all disease arises from the accumulation, they use the term morbid matter. That's very 1800s, but we would call it toxins. So this core, what's called unifying theory of disease, is literally at the basis of my profession. And so when we're coming all here to detoxify, that is very much like working at the level of like what our core values are rooted in as naturopathic physicians. And I see that every day in my medical practice, that no matter what the complaint that someone has coming in with, no matter what kind of physical suffering they're dealing with, that if we stop putting toxins in the body and we remove toxins from the body, their vital force responds and healing happens. And so in essence, that's, what I'm kind of doing and helping folks with every day. This is a way to do it in a very deep and I guess committed way, because we're not just gonna, we could say that one version of a detox is stop eating sugar, stop drinking alcohol. That's a detox, right? You're gonna stop putting a toxin in your body, but we're gonna go a lot deeper in what we do. And you'll see as we progress through first a phase with only whole fruits and vegetables for a few days, to moving into actually a liquid diet where we're consuming fresh pressed vegetable juices all day, and that's the more resting the digestion fast. So we'll build our way into a pretty expansive detox. And if you um, break those terms down, toxin, like I think that one thing we have to acknowledge is how do our bodies get toxic? Like, what is it about how we live our life that accumulates toxins in our body that leads to compromise of our health? And I think we all know a lot of these things. We can get toxins into our body a lot of different ways. It can come through our skin. We can breathe them in. We can ingest them. They can come through our mucous membranes, our eyes, nose, ears. Um, and so those are like how physical toxins enter our body. But interestingly, we also literally generate toxins just thinking and breathing and living, having an immune system. Like just for our body to take care of itself, it's generating waste products and waste debris and inflammatory byproducts. Like literally when we think or when we stress, I mean, we make a bunch of neurotransmitters that dump and then have to be detoxified, so that's why literally, stress can be a toxin, so to speak. And so we're constantly generating this just by existing, but then additionally we're being exposed to all this stuff. I mean, industrial chemicals, solvents, agricultural, fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, industrial fumes and like compounds in the air, um, ingesting all sorts of things like in our food, residues from pesticides, herbicides, heavy metals, um, even food, just if it's ultra processed, becomes a toxin in our body. Like it generates a really inflammatory response, and we all have a lot of ultra processed food, floating in our faces all the time. Very few of us, myself included, completely avoid that all the time. So, a lot of ways to generate toxins that way. And even just acknowledging that some foods we are sensitive to, they're more of a toxin in our body, not a medicine. And you'll get an opportunity in the reintroduction to really like learn about this concept of how we understand specific intolerances and sensitivities, which is a really cool benefit of doing this program because you get to check all that on yourself. So when we do a detoxification, one of our main aims is to reduce the intake of toxins. And so you'll see as we go through this program guide, there's several guideposts of, what we're going to do to achieve that. But several people in introducing themselves have emphasized kind of the food part of this. And the idea is we're going to eat really clean, really whole foods only. And by doing so, at least in the ingestion side of what brings toxins into our body, we're going to really restrict and limit the intake of toxins. Stripping out processed foods, stripping out meat, stripping out alcohol, stripping out coffee, stripping out sugar, stripping out grains. We're only going to be eating fruits and vegetables or the juiced down version of those. And so that's like a major, major way that we're going to stop that inflow. And then we're going to put a lot of work and thought into how to help clear toxins that are existing in our body out. So when we get to that part, and this is, I think, something that really falls short in a lot of like detoxes you might read online or have a doctor give you or have a program with a bunch of pills, is we're just not really talking about like how are we facilitating the elimination organs? How are we facilitating the circulatory and lymphatic pathways that's going to clear these toxins out of the body as we kind of like mobilize them out of the tissue. And so, particularly in class 2, we're going to spend a lot of time on that concept and how to work on that with each other. And my hope with all of this is that this detoxification we do in a very intensive way, we leave this program with like some insights as to I'm going to work on keep doing that, or, make a resolve to like take in less of these toxins, or, help mobilize toxins better, more consistently. Um, so, that really to me is the core of naturopathic medicine, which to me is like, what is our health about? And if we really believe in the unifying theory of disease, this kind of process should theoretically make anybody's health in any way, shape, or form better if you have the willingness and commitment to go through with it. Now, when toxins are exiting your body, that may not always feel the best, right? So I really want to emphasize, and that's partly why I'm available to you if you're struggling with symptoms, is like when we're mobilizing toxins out of the tissue, we can feel fatigued, we can feel irritable, we can get headaches, we can get weird scummy mouths and poop and spit and all this stuff, like literally as things are discharging from our bodies. So, I always tell people like my first weekend on the cleanse, it's just like a really gentle weekend, where I can be just taking good care of myself and not to scare anybody, but it's like, yeah, it's like when you detox, it's demanding and challenging on your system, at least for portions of it, depending on your body and what's happening. So we're going to talk a lot of strategies about how to optimize, how to help your body get rid of those toxins, like I said, but they still actually have to mobilize through your tissue and bloodstream and out those elimination organs. So, I think before I move toward the material, I want to check in and see what questions anybody has about this kind of beginning lecture portion and detoxing. Anything to go over? Yeah, Tara.
Just a quick logistics.
Yeah, please.
Is everything recorded if when we can't make a meeting?
Yes, so it's going to be recorded. It is going to go out by email the following day. So this class will go out tomorrow as email, and then Saturday's class will go out on hopefully Saturday afternoon. Share screen options. Okay, and I'm actually going to be reading off of, oh, come on. It's like just being really glitchy. Oh, there it is. Maybe not. Oh, here we go. It's just like being way slower than I'd like it to be. Okay. So here's the program guide. I'm going to get that up for the online participants, and you guys all have it in front of you. So, I gave a shout out to Dr. Stephen Bailey, who was that guy I mentioned who taught this to me in my 4th year of medical school. And so we have a little signature page that I'm not going to collect this. You don't have to sign this. It's just kind of understanding your commitment to be part of this group. This first page here that is kind of really already been outlined today. We're just kind of talking through, what each class's content is generally about. I had also mentioned that if, you're not a patient here, then I like to hear from you. Like if you are a patient, even if you're Dr. Karen's patients, I can see your charts. I can be aware of what's kind of going on with you. But if there's significant health concerns, we sometimes need to make modifications. So just give me a shout, and you should have got an email regarding that inquiry. So we're going to go over initial guidelines here, and these first two are really important to take a minute on. A fast must be voluntary, and I'm going to get a little philosophical here for a sec, but I feel like it's really important, which is that I have learned in my personal life and healing journey, but also as I've worked with patients, that if you are not choosing your actions and there's not enthusiasm in that process, it's not going to happen. So a lot of people come in pretty sick, and I might invite a way to work on their health. If someone feels like they're doing grudgingly either for someone else or they don't really want to do it, and if they're not having some enthusiasm to do it, it doesn't happen. And I just see that over and over and over again. So it's really important, and I'm very serious in saying you need to be choosing to do this. You need to want to, and ideally be enthusiastic about doing it. And it's fascinating too, when I see people not be that way, but they kind of go through with it, they always seem to have a much harder time. So, not to say like, leave the room now, but I kind of am. It's like, it's gonna be hard and it's gonna be amazing and you're gonna get a lot out of it. You'll be proud of yourself, but choose to do it, and be enthusiastic about it. And then the part about not telling people that you're fasting is, it's partly just our society is so fearful about stuff like this, even though we have talked about how this is part of our design and our ancestry and all that. We live in a modern world of like, immense abundance and oversaturation with calories in food. And we have a culture that doesn't honor these principles in general at all. So to, share with people like your coworkers or random acquaintances or school drop off or whatever, it's like, the energy you pick up off of people for that isn't helpful for you in this. Now, of course, telling your inner circle and your family, and obviously logistically, that's very practical for them to know. But I've just found it to work better if it's just like your process, and your loved ones. So a few of these I'm going to really glance over. Some of them I'll take more time in, but yeah, they're just principles that I think are really going to help you if you follow them, be successful. So there's very specific guidance given in here about volumes of food and drink. And that's pretty deeply designed and purposeful. And so if you eat like 1/3 of the fiber in the first phase, you're supposed to like, it's going to affect your outcomes of how your body like pulls toxins out of your gut. So it's just like reminding you to try to eat and drink the amount specified. Now, we can make slight modifications. I always tell people in the bulking phase when we get to that, like, if you're at the dinner table for more than 45 minutes, then you're done. Like, don't finish it if you just, that's too long to be forcing yourself to eat. But so I mean, there's a little wiggle room, but generally, eating and drinking the amounts, especially the drinking, you gotta drink 100 ounces of water every day and or herbal tea. So organic, this idea when we talked about toxins, right? We talked about, well, differentiating organic from conventional. The organic means they can't put certain pesticides and herbicides on the foods. And so the toxin load of those foods is going to be higher if they have that debris on them than if they're organic. And that's the main regulatory thing of what makes it organic versus not organic. Now, there's all sorts of tiers of like, farm fresh, farmers market, CSAs. You just got it from the health food store and you prepare it right away versus like it's in your fridge for days. So we can go on and on and on about density of nutrients, but a very simple demarcation is if you can afford organic, do it. If you can't, it doesn't ruin your fast and you haven't completely failed. It's strongly preferred if you can swing it. And there's lots of, even Costco has a lot of organic things, lots of access points to that. I mentioned water, that ideally we're using less tap water if we can. I have, and you guys are always welcome to use it while you're here. I have this little Berkey filter. I love that thing. That's what I use at home. A lot of conversations we could have about filters. We're not going to have them. I'm a big fan of filters. So, those are obviously inexpensive and go a long way. Spring water, there's a couple of springs in the area. If, you really wanted to go to that effort. There's like one off of I-90 near Mullen, but yeah, and distilled water I'm a little careful with. Like I would probably say that's the least preferred method just because it kind of can pull nutrients out of your body. But yeah, just using good water if you can. Bottled water is okay too. Um, and then I'm encouraging people not to mix fruit and vegetables just because of the digestion time is so different. So if you like fruit transits through the gut in like a couple hours, vegetables take like 6 or 7 hours. So we're ideally like you'll see in the bulking phase, you have fruit for breakfast and vegetables for lunch and dinner, as an example. And I also make a mention about the cruciferous vegetables. They are they have a tendency, if you eat a lot of raw cruciferous vegetables, which I've listed them kale, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, they can suppress your thyroid function. And since we're eating a lot of vegetables on this, I like to just give a little disclaimer about that. When they're in a steamed or cooked down form, they don't have problems like that. So it's just raw. So we probably wouldn't want to be juicing like pounds and pounds of kale or Brussels sprouts, for example. Number 6 is something that, someone said earlier, like, it's good to be here in person, you're more accountable. Sometimes people like, quote unquote, crash out of the fast, and it's just really hard on your body. And you feel it, and it does unwind a lot of the benefits you've worked so hard to generate in the fast. So it's just like, I'm okay with anybody coming out early, just even being here and just learning and listening and opening your mind is great. So there's no judgment, but it's just like, really do it slowly and ideally under my guidance. If you need to break out early, that's something I really encourage, to like take this process slow, turn your digestion on slowly. And we're going to talk about that a lot in the 3rd class. Number 8, let's take a little time here. Almost all of us probably take nutritional supplements, minerals, vitamins, nutrients, plant medicines. So what I want to encourage people is that, generally speaking, you can discontinue most all of that during the program. And my rationale about that is that you are going to be putting a lot more work on the liver in this process to like process toxins. And when we eat a lot of supplements, we actually still have to process those in the liver too. So we want to just kind of simplify the workload on the liver. Now, there are some exceptions to that, and I'm welcome, especially to people in person. This is an opportunity to just kind of like have a little forum of like, do you have a clarification you need to ask? But generally, there's a few supplements I think are really good, like anything that helps your like muscles not generate spasms. So I really like people staying on their magnesium or electrolytes if they tend to use those. Ideally unflavored electrolytes, like not, stuff with sugar or fake sugars in them. You don't have to take them. I'm just saying, if you're already taking them, you can keep them. I also feel that anything that like, if you stop taking on a daily basis, like you would immediately or quickly have pretty adverse symptoms. So let me give an example. Like, say you're taking some herbs to make sure you have bowel movement every day, and you just stop taking the herbs because the detox, and you stop having bowel movements, that's a big problem. Or say you're taking some herbs to like keep your hot flashes at bay, or give you like alertness and energy, and if you stop them, those kind of like crash. So if there's anything that's like that, where it's like, ooh, I'm really not going to feel well if I simultaneously do this and detox, then don't stop it. That's fine. For that, just a sec, Chris, I'll come to you. For that reason, I also am going to really urge people, don't mess with your prescription meds. Those are powerful substances, so your body's going to really notice them not being there suddenly. Now, there are cases where regularly, actually, I have helped people come off their blood pressure meds, come off their blood sugar meds during the detox, and they actually start to feel worse on their meds because their body is cleaning out so much. So those are 2 classes of meds where I'd very much like have you stay in close touch with me, and we might discern where to drop those down. But generally, that's most meds stay in place and we don't change things in that regard. I really like N-acetylcysteine for supporting liver detox pathways. NAC is also its abbreviation. And so you could pick up a bottle at the clinic if you wanted to get it from us. You don't have to do it at all. It's not like you need NAC for successful detox, but I tend to like to take it, and I'll take it at a little bit higher doses because my mucous membranes are prone to just like gradual accumulation of debris on them. And high dose NAC at like 2 caps twice a day can really just scrape off all the mucous membranes, especially during a fast.
So is that about what you're suggesting?
One cap twice a day for liver support, or 2 caps twice a day for more of a like mucous membrane kind of clearing action with liver support. Sometimes I'll also encourage people to like pick up a little packet of the alternative tea, which is like a blood cleaning tea. It's yummy. It's my second favorite tasting tea we have. It's just got a bunch of liver loving herbs, and blood cleansers. And so we have a couple of those at front. So if someone wanted to stick around after and like get a little tea or anything, I'm happy to dispense some. But those are just nice adjunctives, you know, to support your cleanse, if you choose to, but not needed. And herbal tea is great to have throughout all of this. Like for my water intake each day, like I drink just vastly herbal tea pretty much the whole time. So it's nice to have like a good detox targeted herbal tea. Um, yeah, I really want to open the floor to people talk about, you know, questions about your vitamins, supplements, minerals, meds, like anything we need to clarify. Before we move forward, go ahead, Curtis.
Can I just email you the list?
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to, yeah, that's fine. And I can give a clarification, but again, I'm not gonna like necessarily set a precedent that everyone email you your supplement lists. Like generally, you're safe to not do them, but if you want to double check, reassure with me, you're welcome to. Yeah, cool.
I have a
Go
question.
for it.
What is the electrolyte you recommend?
We use one called Light Balance,
I've tried that
LYTE.
before.
Yeah, it's in
Yeah.
a liquid and it has packets, but it's just a really clean one. It's just electrolytes in a
Mhm.
concentrate. You just put a cap in your water.
Okay, because
Mhm.
she has me on either the element, like
Mhm.
she has me doing two packets a day sometimes, the
Yeah.
element or the IQ mix,
Yeah.
which is another one.
Yeah, and so like what you
'Cause I
could
have
do
low
and
blood
what you could do instead, and some
Mhm.
people who, um, some people, the lack of salt in this program can be a
Mhm.
problem for them. So for you, that would be a really important, adjustment to
Mhm.
like make sure you keep your full salt intake, but instead of doing the packets with all the natural
Right.
flavors, just put, 1,000 milligrams, which is gonna be about like half a teaspoon of salt, you know, in your water a couple times a day.
Like Celtic salt,
Mhm.
something like
Yeah.
that. Would you say half a teaspoon?
Yeah, half a
Twice a
teaspoon,
day?
yeah, to make up for the element.
It's
So
just twice a
do-
day, half a teaspoon.
Do electrolytes vary then?
With the amount of salt in them or? Yeah, there's various electrolytes. That's the one I like to recommend. It's a local company. They make a good product. Yeah. But she's asking something kind of separate, which is a good question. I think if you stop taking your salt with the blood pressure issues, that could be a problem if that's an existing issue.
Mhm.
You can salt your food, so like you can use spices during all of this initial phase as well.
Okay.
But you'll want to take that extra salt throughout. What other questions? Anybody else? Go ahead, Mary.
Methylene blue?
I would say that not necessary like during this and probably nice to take a break from. I only encourage people to do that in pulse anyways on like versus a daily basis. So it'd be nice to just like off pulse it for a little bit during the cleanse. Mhm. Yeah.
So is it any kind of non-caffeine herbal teas or? would
Yeah.
it- Okay.
Non-caffeine or a little green tea's okay. Like that has a tiny bit of caffeine, but it's so detoxification promoting that I'm good with green tea as well.
But not decaf coffee.
No coffee. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Isn't coffee good to cleanse the liver? I've seen different
Well,
programs.
coffee enemas when you're trying to cleanse the liver, but I don't see it as like a liver cleanser from oral intake. Yeah. Now, if you didn't stop drinking caffeine, like it's advised to do it before you start the program. I don't think you're gonna ruin your outcomes if you come off caffeine in those first few days, but you're also gonna be detoxing, so you know you're gonna be really tired, at least most people, because caffeine's a stimulant. But yeah, I mean, it's important to get there. You don't wanna keep drinking a cup of coffee every day to get the full benefits of this.
This is with how they process the caffeine in the coffee, all the chemicals and stuff.
Yeah.
I've done all kinds of detoxes and when I'm doing organic or different coffees, like I get severe, like throwing up for hours,
Mhm.
detoxification from coffees. And
Yeah.
if I drink cheap coffee or just Starbucks, that type of stuff, horrible. So I've been off since last Monday.
Nice. Good for you. Okay. Yeah, it's good to do it ahead of time. Yeah, yeah,
For me.
Yeah.
I don't probably.
yeah. We're all different, yeah. So number 9, I mean, having good elimination or the toxins mobilized will cause a worsening of your health. So this is that part where I actually do want to bring up a couple of points that are more in the next lecture, but since you'll be like in getting into the detox before we get to the next lecture, just a couple of points is that circulation is a really big deal. So if you're really sedentary while you do this detox, you'll be dealing with more like toxins recirculating and making you not feel well. So whatever you're going to do, whether you're going to walk, whether you're going to work out, like move your body every day. It's, if you can sweat a little bit, even better. That's a good way to push toxins out the skin. So that's something really encouraged. I also really wanted to mention passive ways to mobilize circulation, which there are several of. My favorite one to share with everybody and encourage is contrast showers of hot and cold. There's a little appendix, I think it's appendix 1 or 2 toward the end, where I have a whole methodology of how to do cold rinses within your showers, but that really pumps the blood and pumps circulation, will really move toxins more efficiently. There's saunas, there's red light therapy, and several other ways, like now with technology and electricity, we can also like penetrate the body and mobilize toxins. We have actually a red light therapy room here that Ty runs. So there's so many options, but now there's all these places in town. So just like anything you can do during the program to support elimination organs and to mobilize your circulation, it's going to create better outcomes. And we'll talk again at very deep depth at our next meeting about that. But I want to just out the gate be like, start getting your mindset of like, how are you going to have this self-care time for you to be really consistent with that part as well? Because you'll get better outcomes.
Quick question.
Yeah, go for it.
With working out, we can still do full intense workouts and that's okay. We don't have to limit it at all.
Yeah, I mean, I find during the juice fast portion
Mhm.
that some people do fine with just full tilt workouts, but most people would argue that like curtailing it by a percentage is worth it, like because you're not going to have a really high protein content, and you're not just going to have a high calorie content in that time, and so it's just straining your system a little more than you need to go like into really
To do regular.
to do really intense workouts. I mean, personally for my body, like I hike great. I do, I can bike for 20, 30 miles. Great. And it's not a problem. But I think if I was going to just like, I don't know, go like use my chainsaw for 4 hours, like I would get lightheaded, So yeah, it's like, I don't know, like the intense stuff you have to be a little careful about. And some people do fine. So, but yeah, exercise is good. Like moving your body is good on this. We want that circulation. I also mentioned that like this concept of discharges. So like coated tongues, filmy stuff in your stool, like frothy, smelly urine, like all like even some skin discoloration stuff. We can see all sorts of stuff. It's like toxins coming out of your body. So, if you're freaked out, reach out to me, but that's also mostly likely what I'm gonna say is like, yeah, that's your body detoxing. And sometimes we may be able to help it out a little bit, but that's just what happens. Yeah.
So also emotionally too?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, good point. I should remember to say that when I go over this, like for sure. I mean, I actually find myself really emotionally sensitive different years with different stages of the detox. And I think like the best way to put it is just similar to how you were talking about your spiritual practices. It just like allows greater access to all that to come closer to the surface. It's not intrinsically like, a bad thing. It's just, I really encourage, be able to be more gentle with yourself if you can. And so, yeah, I mean, I always do this fast, like fully in the midst of clinic and life. And so it's hard for me to be like really gentle with like what's on my shoulders and my mind. But in an ideal world, like you can really accommodate so much space for that. So on my weekends during this program, like my first weekend and my second weekend are like really disciplined, like closed down to, a lot of effort. And you know, productivity because I just want to like rest. And I think that's really helpful if you can like set some of those intentions in place on a more like emotional stress, like work relations plane. It's really good. Yeah. Not required, which is why like that was required, then I wouldn't have many people participating because we all have these demanding lives, but you just carve those little spaces, you know, and big spaces if you can. Yeah. So number 11 is just reiterating that we're only eating whole fruits and vegetables during this program. So there's several things you're not going to be able to have. And it's pretty obvious, so I won't read those word for word. A lot of people notice changes in sense perceptions. We'll talk more about this, especially when you're telling us about how your fast is going. A lot of people, you know, are noticing really heightened sensory perception. That's very, very normal fasting adaptation. Another thing that sometimes I will forget to say, but I'm remembering now is when you detox, usually your skin dries out and your internal core temperature lowers. So that means dry skin and being chilly is very normal, healthy. We're having a pretty like nice warm stretch with the weather, so that's kind of nice. But I would just say like wear more clothes, use, you know, good moisturizers, drink hot tea. You know, it's all normal to have those things happen. Yeah. All right, so finally, are you guys ready to talk about kind of the actual bulking phase and how this looks and what we're gonna do? Okay, let's do it. So this page, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on. This is the shopping list. What's important to take away from this is I wanted to make it like condensed in to be like, if I were to shop for these first 3 days, about how much food would I need to be buying? Okay, so that's really what this is like your shopping list all on one page. However, note that the fruits and the vegetables on that shopping list are interchangeable, or not just interchangeable, like can be substituted. So if you don't like tomatoes or your body doesn't like tomatoes, like you can get cucumbers instead, or you can get green onions, or you can get eggplant, or, you know, like it just, whatever it is, it's more about the volume, okay? So don't say like, oh, I need to get these foods and this is what I'm gonna eat. This is just option, like, you know, it doesn't say anything about broccoli on this, but I tend to like really like to saute broccoli when I do my fast. So, yeah, so just know it's
We can
flexible.
do arugula instead of spinach. We don't
Correct.
have to do.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. Yeah, it's just like, no, you can flex that.
I have beet powder. Is that workable?
Beet powder is more of a supplement. I would say use whole beets.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And what about sesame seeds? Can I add that next to hemp hearts?
Yeah, you could do sesame. That's fine.
Okay,
That's not one meal, that's not breakfast.
No, so this is for all three. This is the amount. Yeah, this is the amount for all 3 days. Yeah,
3 days.
all 3 days for one person. Yeah. Now, I mentioned at the bottom, like, you know, if you guys have like stuff you're following for your nutrition based on your doctor's guidance, or just because you know what your body like likes and doesn't like, it's okay to omit things from here and sub out others. Like you can totally align with those principles. But yeah, that's all the time I'm going to spend on that page because really I want to talk about these first 3 days in detail. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have suggestions, like the easiest place to go get everything and, you know, we're not running all over town?
Yeah, I mean, I think at all of the health food stores, so like Natural Grocers, Pilgrims, you can get everything organic and all these ingredients, no problem. You could even probably at the Fred Meyer like organic section, you could pretty much get all of this. You can, yeah, so those would be the places I'd suggest first and foremost. If we're gonna go for
Costco has,
organic.
as you said, a lot of.
Yeah,
brands,
it has.
and they have bulk chia in big bags.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the kind of thing where
Yeah.
you can really save money on that stuff.
Yeah, and you can, so if you're willing to go to a couple places, you can, yeah, end up like picking and choosing where to be most efficient.
Then the 2 cups is reference to how much you need to buy. And then if you're gonna
Yeah,
grind it,
yeah,
flaxseed.
yeah. That's, Yeah, that's just the amount approximately you want to have.
before you processed it.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So what we're gonna do when we start Friday, this is ideally you start Friday, right? That's when then we all get to do this together. This, as you're gonna see, this is a lot of food preparing work to eat this many fresh fruits and vegetables. So I designed it to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so we have a little more time and space for that. The first thing we're gonna do when we wake up in the morning is flush our livers with some fat. So the liver secretes bile, and we're going to get into all this at the next class about all the digestive physiology, but bile is where a lot of our toxins dump out of our body, and we carry them out through our poop out of the body. And so when you eat or drink like a large amount of oil, it tricks your liver into thinking it just had a huge meal. And so it dumps a bunch of bile into the gut. And so starting the day like that, like kind of flushes that bile out of the liver, and it kind of starts to clear toxins out and but just really activate and energize the liver in prep for all this detox work it's going to do. When you follow that liver flush drink with some ground chia or ground flax, then you're basically going to bind up a lot of that bile. And so it will carry it out of the body versus recirculate that bile back into the tissues. So you can mix the olive oil with the juice of lemon, and then option, some people love it, some people hate it. I'm more in the camp of hating it. The cloves of fresh garlic. Just a little more intensive of a detox action with the garlic. But so you're just gonna swig that down. You can rinse your mouth with some water right after is what I do. And then 15 minutes later, or just kind of immediate later, drink that drink with mixing the chia or the flax right in the water and kind of drinking that down. And you're gonna ideally do that fiber drink 3 times during the day, right in the beginning of the morning, mid-morning, and mid-afternoon. And again, just think of the theme of this first section of the cleanse. One of the big things we're doing is we're scraping out our intestinal tube of a bunch of debris. So we're probably going to be pooping a lot and, just like pulling a lot of the toxins that are sitting inside of the gut out. So that's why you're going to see why we're going to be consuming so much fiber. And notice that most of what we're going to consume as fibrous foods are not heavily cooked and not heavily broken down. So like for breakfast, you're going to eat whole fruits. You're not going to blend this up in a blender. You're going to have like a whole grapefruit or a whole avocado and a whole apple, right? And you're going to chew it really good. So how this is structured and laid out is like for the breakfast, which is going to be fruit, you're going to have the equivalent of basically 3 pieces of fruit plus some prunes. The prunes just kind of helps make sure the bowels are working well. You don't have to have grapefruit. You could have a peach. You don't have to have banana. You could have, a bunch of grapes, et cetera, et cetera. You get it, right? So these are all substitutable. Now, if you have blood sugar issues, meaning either reactive hypoglycemia or diabetes or prediabetes, you may want to really skew toward the lower glycemic fruits. So you might want to be doing grapefruit and apple and berries, avocado versus, tropical fruit and bananas and stuff.
How about plums?
Plums are like moderate sugar content.
So the breakfast is just, you're not actually doing anything with these foods except just eating them. You're not.
No, you're
not-
chewing them up and eating them.
That's great,
it.
okay. You're not
I mean, you can
blending them or you're not.
Yeah, you can
juicing
chop,
them
yeah,
or
you
you're
can
not-
chop them up a little bit and stuff, but you want to chew them. Yeah.
Okay,
And why that is when we blend stuff, you break down 30 or 40% of the fiber. It actually reduces the fiber action in the gut by blending. I have given an option mid-morning, mid-afternoon for a little snack. So, again, more vegetables, a little bit of, this is the one thing outside of fruits and vegetables allow are some raw seeds, sunflower, pumpkin, hemp. I mentioned, I think sesame is okay, but if you wanted to add a little seeds in, you could do that, but no more than like half a cup. Most people will not find they need a snack because this is so much food.
Well, I remember from last time I did it, because it's 100 ounces of water.
Yeah, you gotta do that too.
And yeah, I couldn't even take snacks because I
Yeah.
was doing the water.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to do the snacks. I mean, that being said, every once in a while I have someone be like, oh, I really was looking for those snacks, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, lunch and dinner, so just note that this little section here is the quantity of vegetables for both lunch and dinner, so for 2 meals for one person. So again, you can substitute different vegetables, you don't have to do these ones. You can use alternative vegetables. I'm mentioning that you can use plenty of spices if you want, and like the ways to prepare these meals is either in a salad form, so you'd be doing like lettuce or spinach or arugula and those kind of things, and then putting your other veggies in with it. And you would be making a salad dressing. Now, I'm very specific about what salad dressing's allowed. So the only oil we're doing in this whole 3 days is all extra virgin olive oil. So you could make, the one I recommend is equal parts olive oil, apple cider vinegar, and lemon juice. And if you want to mix in some chopped up herbs or dried herbs, you're welcome to as well. So that's the salad dressing. And people who are like not wanting to lose any weight, you can be more generous with the oils. If you're wanting to lose weight more, be more stingy with the oils, and that oil is a really big caloric value, right? So, yeah, go ahead, Mary.
Cayenne pepper's okay,
Oh, yeah,
and black pepper.
oh,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, people who are sensitive to black pepper don't
Makes
use a
me
lot.
sneeze.
Yeah, don't use a lot, but yeah. And so the other typical thing I'll encourage is like lightly steamed or lightly sauteed veggies. So personally, I don't really like doing 2 salads or 2 steamed veggies. I like to do 1 salad and 1 like steamed or lightly sauteed veggies. For how I do my days like this.
You can only eat like 2 meals a day, that's okay.
Well, no, in this, that my point is you need to eat the fruit in the morning. Yeah, and you need the salad, because all this scraping out with the fiber is like a really important part of having success with your detox. So it's part of the detoxification. So in this case, no, you do need to have the 3 times.
So it's quite a lot of food.
It's a lot of food. Yeah, you guys all noticed this. Now, I had said like, hey, so if there's a 100-pound woman versus a 250-pound man, do they have to eat the same amount of food? Like, no, there's some wiggle room, right? I think that some people really struggle to eat this volume of food as indicated. And I kind of set a boundary that you have to at least eat half the volume, because otherwise we're really going to be compromising the detoxification action the food has. And I just said, just rule of thumb, if you're still trying to eat it 45 minutes in, then just give it up. And, but yeah, those are like how we're going to structure the day with food. And I'm happy to field questions about like, well, can I have this? Or, anything else that like, you just like have on your mind about what you can and can't do during this. I mean, that's always welcome. And when you're in person, you get the benefit of just having combo. Go ahead.
I feel like when you do the oil in the morning, you sit on your left side for 15 minutes.
I don't think you need to do that. I mean, I don't think it's gonna harm you, but you don't need to do that.
What have I done before you?
No, I mean, I tend to the very first day get a little bit nauseous because those just dumping the liver the first time, there's some toxins that start moving, but if you have big gallbladder issues, like known liver and gallbladder issues, you want to cut the oil amount in half because that can really, aggravate folks that have known pathologies of the liver and gallbladder, or if you don't have a gallbladder.
With like you have 3 cups of greens, 3 cups of spinach. So if you're only doing a salad one time during the day and then the next meal you're sauteing, what would you saute everything
Well,
else?
yeah, and you don't have to do these foods. So if you're gonna do a salad one day, you might just do like a cup and a half of each of those.
Mhm.
And then those other ones, you do a cup and a half of each of those the next day when you do a salad. And you saute totally different things. So you don't have to saute like lettuce. That
Right.
I don't, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, so you just use different vegetables.
but this is like the things listed here, that's
The
2 meals
volume,
in one day.
that's 2 meals in one
2
day.
meals in
That's
one
the
day.
volume.
Okay,
And it's all substitutable with different vegetables.
that's where, because I'm very like type A bullet point.
Yeah.
That's where I'm gonna have a problem figuring out quantities and like,
Yeah,
the volume of what I should be eating.
totally. Yeah, I mean, I think that, and again, if you want to just eat salads, you could do that.
It might
too.
have to be, so I
Yeah,
get
there
it
you go.
right.
There you go. Yeah, you could totally do that. Or you could do like no lettuce stuff and only do, veggies. Like, yeah, you just have to kind of work that out. And
Okay,
it's just like generally you're just gonna have like a big plate
uh-huh,
of vegetables. I mean, that's kind of what it looks like at the end of the day.
okay.
So don't overthink it too much. Yeah.
And they can be sauteed in olive oil?
Yeah, just lightly sauteed. Let's remember, we don't want to break the fiber down too
Right.
much.
And what about red onions?
Great.
Okay.
Nutritional yeast?
Yeah, I think the nutritional yeast, we're kind of verging on getting into a little bit of like, when we're doing like liquid aminos and tamari and nutritional yeast, it's like, it's a little bit of a fudge. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I'd prefer to just stay with spices.
I know, that's what I put on
Yeah.
my salad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I know, I hear you. Yeah, preferably not. But I don't think that's a huge cheat if you just like,
so they keep it in the fridge.
yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, it is a good point. Like we're laughing at this, like, this is designed really specifically. So I do think that like your outcomes are somewhat proportional to how full on you do this, right?
Sure.
Like
Mhm.
if you are cheating and you're, sneaking nuts while you're juice fasting, like it's gonna affect the physiology we're going for. If you're totally like sedentary and stressed to the max and, it's like you're not gonna have as good outcomes. So it's like just the more you can pour into this, the more you're gonna get out of it. And no one's gonna judge you, but like it's just like it's that accountability with yourself and like the enthusiastic effort, like coming back to like, I'm choosing to do this. Like, why would I like really cheat if so just work with that with yourself. Yeah, go ahead.
Paying $100 helps too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there you go. That's right. So it's accountability buddy. Yeah, I'm doing this. Yeah.
Good point.
Uh-huh. And one thing that like I didn't get to yet, but I want to make sure to emphasize in tonight's material is the drinking, right? So we already kind of mentioned this multiple times, but the 100 ounces is really important. So some of you already have a really good habit with water, some of you don't. You don't have a good habit with water, this is going to be challenging. You're going to be peeing a lot. Even if you do have a good water, you'd be peeing a lot because we need to flush the kidneys. Big way we pull toxins out of the body is we stay really well hydrated. So good rule of thumb is like your urine's clear all day, like or almost clear, like slightly yellow. That means you're well hydrated enough. And if you wait till the end of the day to drink a bunch of it, you're gonna have troubles with sleeping. And if you drink too much water at once, it does kind of get shunted and not really absorb in your system. So try to just really be sipping on it all day, have it in front of you and have your strategy to get it all in. Herbal tea is fine. Like I said, I get cold, so I always have a big like 80-ounce thermos of water with my tea that I'm always dealing with. So just however you can get there, but it's important to get there. And I actually end the first class by having a little handout I have on food hygiene, which feels very appropriate about like understanding some of the physiology of digestion. And I just really like to highlight the principle of chew your food well. It's gonna really impair your digestion if you're just shoveling all this food down, because like the breaking down process in the mouth is such a crucial part of like quality of the digestive process. So, good thing to read before you kick into this and really try to practice this, because like you might be like, oh wow, I always like felt kind of bloated after meals and now I don't, just because I'm actually doing all these principles. It's amazing how many people's digestive issues I've helped them fix might be like, your hygiene of eating is not good. And so it's a good thing for us all to practice. And I'll be the first to admit that it's like a long-term one for me to practice and struggle with it at times, but So questions from everybody about our first 3 days? What do you got?
It's okay to start a day early if I want.
Yeah, so some of us have obligations, social, family. There may need to be a way to reason to tweak your days a little bit. That's okay. Like, I mean, ideally, if you're gonna shorten a section, you talk to me about it. As we get into the classes, we'll talk about people extending the fast. That'll be more in like the class next week. But yeah, you can wiggle it around a little bit. Just, know that we'll be covering the material, assuming that people are starting this Friday and then moving into the juice fast next Monday.
You got a problem on Saturday.
I'm not starting till Sunday. I got a big wedding on Saturday.
Where I live,
Yeah,
I live is doing a, guess who's coming to dinner? The host house doesn't know who's gonna arrive, and the people who are the guests don't get the address of where they're going until right before we go. So it's really fun, but I know what the main course is and